Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video we'll be talking about adding tools to your AI agent. All right. So what we've been doing all this while is making queries to the LLM. You see, the only thing the LLM can actually do at that point is to respond according to the knowledge it has. All right. So anything that is away from its knowledge, it may not be able to respond. Now you understand that all this while the LLM has only been giving us responses based on what we asked it. Now it cannot perform any task yet. So now we're going to start looking at how we can actually use the LLM to perform different tasks. All right, so now to perform these tasks now, you're going to be adding tools to the LLM. Now, how does it work? How it works is you can build different tools that can perform different tasks. Now, this is where the AI gets smart. All right. These tools are maybe a particular tool that will perform a transaction for you, a tool that will go and search the internet, a tool that can make sales for you, a tool that can reply email, a tool that can read your messages, a tool that can read your calendar. Now, when you've built all these tools, these are normal tools that you can always use, maybe by automating them by using conditional statements. Okay, so but now to not make them smart, you're going to add these tools to the LLM. Now the LLM will not know at each point the particular tool to call to actually be able to execute a particular task. This is how tooling is done in AI. All right, so you're going to build these tools and then you add them to the LLM, and then the LLM will be able to make decisions on how to use these different tools. We're going to go over to them and see how you can do all these different things. Okay, so first of all, we need to initialize our LLM. Okay, this is importing the .env to load the environment variables, and then we are still working with chat grok from LangChain grok. So we are using the OpenAI GPT OSS 120B model. Okay, and then this is the API key. You run these codes. So this is the first prompt I'll be working with. All right, cool. So basically now this is what we've been doing. Okay, so what we've been doing is very basic. Okay, just one node that just pick the list of messages you have and then make a query to the LLM and then get a response. Just this is just basically what we have been doing. So when you run something like this now, and you'll be able to make query to them. Yeah, so just something like this. This is what we've been doing. Just very basic. All right. Now let's see how you can add tools. Okay. Now, tools are like functions, all right? So you can define them as different functions that perform different tasks. Do you understand? So you perform them as different functions that perform different tasks. Um, I'm adding two tools here that are performing arithmetic operations. So these two tools, I will be using them to explain how adding tools to AI work. All right, so I have two tools here. All right, for a particular function to become a tool, you use the tool decorator. You use the tool as a decorator there. All right. So at tool, this is just a decorator. What it makes this function a tool. Now this function now can now have multiple methods according to the tools of LangChain. All right. So LangChain has a tool function that you can actually use. It has a tool class. All right, so when you add this decorator, it converts this to that tool that you can actually make use of. Now, this is just the basic syntax of building a tool in LangChain. All right, so first of all, you pass your arguments, and then it takes these two arguments, and then this is a dot string. Now, anytime you're defining your tool, you must add a dot string. The dot string explains what that tool will do. All right, first of all, you explain what the tool will do, and then the arguments the tool will be taking, and then you return whatever output you are getting from your tool. So basically, this particular tool is multiplying A and B and returning the product. This second one is adding A and B and returning the sum. All right, so I just have two tools here for now. So I'm trying to build two tools that are performing arithmetic operation. Now, instead of telling my LLM to actually perform them, all right, so I can actually use tools to perform those arithmetic operations. All right, so now this is an important part as well. So what we'll do here is you pass all your tools in a list. You create a list of all the tools you are working with, and then I'd have a variable holding them. And then you will bind all that tool to your LLM. Remember, we defined our LLM here. It is called LLM. All right. Then down here we are saying LLM.bind. .bind tools. We now pass the list of the tools that we have. So, and now we're now having another variable, which is also an LLM, which is now LLM with true. All right. So now, anytime I want to execute any function, instead of saying LLM.invoke, we are going to say LLM with true.invoke, because this particular LLM now has tools and it can actually call tools. It can make two call. So this is basically how it works. So these tools that we define here has been binded to the LLM. All right, so now let's define our graph. So this is the prompt to be using your expert assistant for performing arithmetic operations. So I needed to add this to be specific so that the LLM can actually understand what it is meant to do. All right, so the very basic of what we are doing. Okay, so this is a system message, and then here we are picking the messages, okay, which is state of message of messages. This is the state. We're using the messages state, and we are passing all the messages and then the system prompt, and we are using the LLM with tool. Now what this will do is, when there should be a tool call, it's going to return a tool call, and then the system can actually make a tool call. All right, so this is just the same with what we have been doing, but we are going with two. This particular LLM we define there, which is LLM with tools. That's what we are going with. All right, so there are a couple of other things we also need to import. All right, so we'll have the tool condition and then the tool node, which are from LangGraph.prebuild. So the tool condition is for the conditional node or conditional edge of the system, for the conditional edge of the system. And then this tool node class is just for passing the tools to the LLM, to the graph. Okay, just for passing the tools to the graph. All right, so we create the builder, and then our tools is going to be one node now. Okay, it's going to be one node, and then our assistant is another node. All right, so I'm passing that node. We're using these two nodes to pass our tools. All right, so now the edge, we're going from start to assistant, and then we're passing our conditional edge. Now this conditional edge, what it does is it returns two things. All right, so what it returns is it returns tools and it will return end. Okay, so you can actually look at here. So it can return tools or it will return end. So if there was a tool call from the assistant, it's going to return tools. All right, but if there was no tool call, it will return end. That means the application will end at that particular point. All right, so but if there was a tool call, then it's going to go to tools. All right, because it returned tools. So I want to go from tool to end. So this is just basically how it will work. So let's build the graph so that you can actually see the graph shape. Okay, I'm yet to run this particular cell here. All right, so look at the shape here now. So it goes from start to assistant. So whenever we make a query, it comes to this assistant. Now, this assistant is this function now, this particular node, all right, which is going to make an LLM call. But remember, it's making the LLM call with the LLM that we have binded the tools to. So it will check what the request you are making, does it require any tool call? If it requires any tool call, then it's going to return a tool call. All right, but if it doesn't require a tool call, then it will end. All right, so if it requires a tool call, it returns a tool call, which will now go ahead to make the tool call at the tool node. So this is basically how it works. So let's see how this thing works now. So I'm going to take it one step at a time. So first of all, I'm going to start with who are you. All right, so just the very basic. Let's do this now. So you see that there was no tool call here. The message was executed straight because it doesn't require any tool call here now. So now I'm going to do something that will require a tool call now. So let me say what all right, so this will require a tool call because this has a mathematical operation in it. So I will run this code now. Okay, now if you observe, you see that the kind of response we got is different from here now. So here it went from it got the human message, the AI just gave us a response and it ended straight. But here there was a tool call. Now look at what happened. The AI message was a tool call. All right, and the tool call now had arguments, which is 6 and 5. So these arguments were now passed to the tool, and this is what the tool returned for us. Now the tool that was called, look at the name add, and it called the add tool, and the add tool executed and was able to return this result. All right, just like what we have here, this is the add tool. So it takes two values here. It takes two values, A and B, and it sums both of them and then return their sum. So which was exactly what happened here now. So you see that our add tool was called. So I'm going to, for us to understand this better, let's examine the response we got from this agent. So let's examine the response. So the response, it has only one key, messages. So let's look at messages. Messages has three message. So our interest is this AI message, which is this response from the AI. The response from the AI. So which is the second message? We'll pass index 1. Okay, we need to do the model dump. All right, now so let's examine this message now. So this is the response from the AI. You see there was no content, all right, but it had the additional parts. But then this is where we should be interested in, whether there was two calls. Okay, so there was two calls. If there was no two call, this particular key here will be empty. So there was two call and it was just one two call, which is the add. Now what are the arguments? These are the arguments. So this is what the AI returned, that a two call should be made, and a two call was made. But now look at a catch here now. What we have here now is after the two call, the two is just returning whatever it did. No structure, no arrangement. This agent doesn't even know whether it needs to perform more two calls or if the job is done. Do you understand? So we're just returning the output from the two. All right, which doesn't make the system to be enough smart. It doesn't make it to be well smart or well aware. So we're going to make it to be more smart now. So for it to be more smart, so this is what we are going to do now. So we are just rebuilding the graph. Basically what we did before. So, but instead of going from two to end, we're now passing whatever message we got from the two back to the assistant or back to the LLM, so that the LLM can now decide whether the job is done or it needs to do more work. So this is just a basic design, all right, for using an LLM as a brain and then using it to perform different tasks. So when a particular task is being, particular task is done performing, it passes the result it got back to the LLM, and then the LLM will decide, do we need to perform more tasks or we are done? All right, so that is just how it works. So the output from the tools will be passed back to the assistant. So we'll run this and then look at it here now. So the assistant sent to the tool, and when the tool is done, it sends that particular output to the assistant. Just as simple as that, and the system will be quite smart. So now let's look at what we'll have. Let's just do 6 plus 5. I will run this. So now, when you watch now, you see that when we run this now, it made a tool call, and then the tool returned the message back to the assistant, and then this is what we got from the LLM. So this is basically how it should go. All right, so let me add more arithmetic operations. So let me say times 6. Okay, and as you can see, it was able to perform that. All right, so it made the first tool call, send it back to the LLM, and then the LLM now made another tool call. All right, so remember, this is what we have: 6 plus 5 times 6. So, and what was the first tool call it made? The first tool call it made was to multiply. All right, so after multiplication, it sent back the result to the LLM. Now the LLM now made another tool call, which is the 30 was the result, and then the second value is now 6, to now add 6 plus 30. So this is what it did. It did this first, got the result, which is 30, and then did 6 plus 30. So you see how it can actually get smarter. All right, so by as we have multiple tools, then when one tool is done executing, it passes the result back to the LLM. It checks if the job is done. Then if the job is not done, it calls the next tool that is supposed to continue to perform the job until the entire job is done. So as you can see here now, the entire job is done, and we'll go to what? 36. All right, so now let me add something else here now. Okay, so that it can give us some explanations when it's done. All right, so this is the AI giving us explanation how it is done, and it used the BODMAS principle to actually get it done. So, and that is how it works. Okay, so this is how you can add different tools to your LLM. Now in this video we are just using arithmetic functions, arithmetic operations, different functions to do this, but this demonstrates how a real agent works in real time, having different tools and how the agent can actually make calls to different tools. So if you like the video you're watching so far, subscribe to this YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, share the video among your network. There are more videos coming your way on how you can build AI agent. Thank you very much for watching this video. Meanwhile, keep coding.